Greetings, everyone. It's Thursday. We're close to Friday and Chat Gauntlet Day. I believe we have G Guards competing against me tomorrow. So tomorrow we get the co-streamer event. Instead of just me versus 7 chat, we're going to have me versus G Guards versus 6 chat members from both of our streams. And looking forward to that tomorrow. Today, though, we're going to do a standard queue here. Not a standard queue. That sounds like we're doing constructed. We're doing a typical traditional Zendikar Rising draft here, and excitedly, we do have the 10k gold. We had a couple of 750 quests, and last night I made sure to complete them both to get us over the 10,000 mark so that we can play one on the house today. And that's a big factor in being gem independent on Arena, is making sure that you're grinding your gold and then getting these free chances to win gems. You know, if we 3-0 today, we turned gold that Wizards gave us for playing into 3,000 gems that you would normally have to pay for at the store. That's why we have almost 32,000 gems on a nearly purely free-to-play account. Only the $5 welcome bundle was spent on this one. And if you're going to spend on cards, though, I don't recommend only the welcome bundle. I recommend my sponsor, Card Kingdom, for your physical stuff. They can't help you with gems or gold coins or anything related to increasing your collection on Arena, although they can certainly help you on that front if you maybe want to sell your cards back to them. If you need some cash, you know, you can transition from physical to digital via Card Kingdom if you want to dump some old cards you're not playing anymore and turn it into the cash you need to give yourself a nice lump sum infusion to get going on Arena if you wanted to do that. And they are my favorite place to get Magic stuff, and they're always first on my list to check out. That's all I ask. Not even that they're first on your list, that they're on your list to check out. I think they ought to be first on your list, but mainly if you're going to make a big Magic purchase and you're not at least giving them a chance at your business, you're leaving some value on the table. You know, we hate that around here. So don't leave value on the table. Do your business at Card Kingdom, or at least give them a chance to win your business, and then you'll be doing it right, and you'll be helping keep me on the air if you use my affiliate link in the panels and in the show notes in the YouTube and in the chat link there. Looks like we've got a restart, but that's good. Means we'll get any of this nonsense out of the way now. I'm going to try. So far, I've been historically having trouble just clicking the icon, you know, re-clicking the icon and having it load. But if I run it as administrator, it tends to be working. So I'm going to rerun my client as administrator here. I can sit here talking about Card Kingdom during a whole install. Oh, thanks. So I will reset my record. Take care of the boring business here while we wait for Arena to get reloaded. We're on free to play. And we're doing a traditional today. All right. Basically, it took me as long as it took to update that stuff anyway. Nice quick update. Thanks, Wizards. Let's get on it. Yep. Oh, I should mention that. Good call, Alucardio. We did this before we were on the air today, but I'll show you. This video isn't even going up tonight, actually, so it's not even going to be relevant. But I'll tell YouTube folks that keep an eye on the store. There are often arbitrage opportunities there, which is to say just pure profit. Today there was a spend 50 gold, get 550 gold. So sometimes they offer like free gold in the store to get you to look at the daily deals more often. Oh, that's interesting. Hold on. I didn't notice that it hadn't caught it. Sometimes I need to run it twice after a restart like that, but it should. Let's rerun it, and we should pick up the client this time. Thanks for reminding me, though. Spider got on to 7-0 with the Rogue Mill. Yeah, when that comes together, like were you milling them out, or were you getting to 8 and killing them with damage? Like, were you more crabby or flying rogues? There we go. As hoped, it caught it. So, a little bit of a stuttery start here, but we got there. We're drafting. We're ready. We're in the draft scene. We're going to open a mythic bomb that we're going to fist pump over. I think I've played this once before in an offline draft. It might even be one that's in progress now. Let's look at this together. We're going to take it. I'm not going to marry Nissa, but if we end up, I also like that Nissa's green, so if we don't end up green-black, green would help us splash her anyway. Whenever it's a landfall planeswalker, so she's got 4 loyalty. Landfall increases the loyalty, and you can increase it again to untap a land you control and make it a 3/3 until the end of turn. And you can -5 for putting reanimating. So really, it's about reanimating stuff. And yeah, you can splash. Black can splash her with Blight. That's a good call. Yeah, I think we can first pick here, but this isn't a stupid bomb. Like, if I were to pick, yeah, this is not a mythic bomb. This is funny. Like, this is 40 gems. I mean, we know that, right? You get 40 gems. I do have some. I was looking at 17 lands, and I think we're going to do at some point we're going to do a deep dive into gem rare drafting and gem value using results data from 17 land. Yeah, we should just take this, and then we're Wooburg, right? No, I think we take Falconer or even Pack Beast. Pack Beast is good enough to second pick here to stay super open. Yeah, no, this is not a limited card. This would be for gems, but also this pack is so weak. I think I will model good gem picks. Like, Zoth Consumption is okay. It's fine. I agree. I was listening to I think it was Lords of Limited where they're at. I'm taking gems here. I think this is fine. 40 gems is a lot. There's no pick here that's going to increase our gem EV greater than 40, I don't believe. Falconer would be the pick without it, though. So I thought I would, and we don't have to. On this account, we have so many gems, we don't have to do that. But I do like to model that this is fine to do. Fine to do to go after gems, especially mythic gems. So we have Low Mage's Domination, Royal Eruption. It's really just these two, right? These are the most powerful cards here pretty easily. Neither of these go with Nissa. And yeah, if we had taken Falconer, I'd probably take Domination, although even you could justify it with Royal Eruption. Like, starting Falconer Royal Eruption sends you towards blue red pretty nicely. But yeah, red is one single red mana is so flexible. It can be splashed, it can go in anything. What do we got here? Oh, I was saying though, I like having, I think Lords of Limited kind of nailed it. That you want a few of these, but the returns are quite diminishing. Your 5th, 6th, 7th, you know, it's like those slow you down too much. And so I think you can be picky about which ones you actually want to prioritize. And in this case, I think this is actively good. This is one of those spells that if you have in the right spot, it's excellent. And so these are the types that I want to prioritize picking up because they actually, well, they affect the board. You know, like I want to use more a classic limited assessment of the cards. They can be a little expensive for their ability, but I really want to assess these and prioritize them as they relate to the quality of their ability. Very late Ruin Crab for the online crowd. Usually this is picked pretty early. I like Soaring Thought Thief better as a build around in the abstract, although Ruin Crab is only one color. What are we taking if we're not doing that? We have this Nissa that we've first picked, but I haven't really seen anything that's made me want to follow Nissa. And yeah, I would almost want to, like, let's get rid of this. The red I like, though. We could take the Grasp, and that would even set us up for more of the red-blue. Yeah, we take Blight Blade to hedge towards Nissa again, but I'm actually more excited by my red than the Nissa. But I'm gonna take the Thought Thief and see, because this is just a huge hedge. If this is wide open, I want to go there, but if it's not, we didn't pass much. Cheese likes the crab. Maybe I undervalue the crab and I should just get over it and play it more. But I haven't loved it. Sentinel is interesting here. Kind of goes with either the Thought Thief pick or the Nissa pick. Not really the Kazul or Royal Eruption pick. But if we do end up green, black, or rogues, we would run a Sentinel and try to get a subtle strike. So yeah, I may be undervaluing it, Cheese. It probably has a pretty good win percentage because when you do get it on 1, it says either 1 mana, force Oppo to use premium removal, or it says win the game. That's both pretty good. And yeah, you don't get it on 1 all the time, but when you do, it's real nice. Yeah, I like Gloom Hunter here. Goes with a black green token deck, and Skulker goes with the Thought Thief. So Skulker for Thought Thief or Gloom Hunter for Nissa is really where I'm at on this. I don't know how you're thinking. It's definitely one of these two, and you can see how we're pulled to 2 different directions. I'm going to do the one that pulls towards the Mythic and feel okay about that. Fortification is interesting here. It does qualify as an effect I think is good, but we can take a Vanquish and then we can still get into rogues if we want. So I think it's one of these two, but Vanquish we know we're going to play and it's late. Let's try to... Also, I don't want anybody downstream to be thinking black is open, because if there's one thing I'm certain, it's that we're black. And we can be black, red, black, blue, or black, green from here. And in the abstract, like if I knew we were black, green, I think I would take the Spland there. But since we don't know that we are, I went with the safer, more signally pick and the card we 100% know we're going to play. Hellion here pulls me. Again, we're just trying to figure out where we're at. We could end up black, red party. That's fine. I mean, not that Hellion is a party, but tends to be when you're black, red, you're party-ish. And actually, black, red, as pointed out, Cleansing Wildfire fixes in red, and the weird land enchantment fixes in black. We could splash Nissa in a red-black deck if we got the picks like this, but we're gonna, I'm with people. I am gonna play Zoff Consumption when it wheels, yes, we're gonna take that, but I wanted to call out that Cleansing Wildfire is how we could end up splashing there. Baloth, I think, is better than the Scale the Heights. This is a glue-ish card. We saw it win game yesterday. It won a game for Oppo. It was pretty insane. It was the best we'd ever seen it. But there is a reason. I'll explain it in a second. And I think we're more. I still think we're more red-black here. But if we end up red-green, we'll want to have that. I don't like Adventure Awaits. Rubble Fort is almost unplayable. There are worlds where Sneaking Guide is playable in the black-red hyper aggro party decks. We'll take it. I don't want to be Jund party. I would like to be, more deliberate than that. I'll take a Blight Blade over a Sizzling Barrage, though, and we'll see. Like, we're just all... we're so Jundy here. Roiling Vortex sounds like it ought to be some awesome, rare version of Royal Eruption that does, 12 Royal Eruptions and wins you the game, but actually it's just kind of unplayable. There's another Vanquish. I actually like a Subtle Strike before second Vanquish, and there's Predation, but again, diminishing returns on these. I'm happy that I have what I think is a good one in Fury, and then I have an acceptable one in Consumption. I'm going to go with Subtle Strike. Funky likes Vanquish over Strike. Trouble is, for me, we have a Vanquish and we don't have a Strike, and we do have a Skyclave Sentinel, and Vanquish does get worse in multiples. It tends to get a ton of stuff in the format, so I think it's good in the format. Watch out for pump responses or whatever, but I do want my first Subtle Strike before my second Vanquish. Into the Royal. Yeah, we can cut the Thief. I see what you mean. Yep. Looks like we're not in that deck. We're in something Jundish. Deadly Alliance is going to be here. The reason I drag these to the left is that I don't know if it's mouse sensitivity or my own. I mean, I can be a little fidgety and twitchy. So I've had instances where in trying to talk about a card, I've accidentally picked it. Even when I pick correctly, it makes the pick go away and I lose my ability to talk about it. And sometimes I've accidentally mistakenly picked. So the safest way I've found to pick is to drag off screen and then it snaps it back on the pick. And then I just know I've developed that habit and now I don't ever make that accidental pick mistake again. So you can take Deadly Alliance here though. Really great in the red. Oh, Goma Fata, hello. I like this a lot. We do have another Subtle Strike and Electromancer, maybe that wheels, but this, like Goma Fata showing up here, kind of makes me want to do this with a reminder that maybe Nissa can be splashed. You like the Electromancer, that's fair. I'm going to focus on 2s and hope that... I find Electromancers tend to go to decks like ours pretty late. I don't know that we're going to wheel it here, but it actually wouldn't surprise me. And I hear you all, but I am taking 2s. I'm taking the 2 and not regretting it. And then we'll see where we end up. Here's a uniform Lithiform Blight, which is the thing that can help splash Nissa. But we're going to take Feed the Swarm here. And would wheeling a Marauding Blight Priest would be nice too. But this is nice removal. This is good. Yeah, Blight usually wheels. I expect Blight to wheel. Like, I would be surprised if it didn't. I don't think it's really playable unless you're trying to do something like, hey, splash Nissa in a black deck. Oh, you like the 2-drop Warrior there? Fair enough. I think we'll get those. I'm going to take the Night Runner here. I like how this is shaping up in terms of finding some, you know, spreading out our party type. Creature types, and it starts to maybe say we can run a Sneaking Guide. I don't want to. We could. Skulker here for more 2-drop Tribal. Well, green is pretty darn open. I mean, I like this a lot, like a lot more than Luis does. I'm more on the Marshall side of town when it comes to Florahedron. I think it's great. I think it's great. A lot, like when you desperately need it to be a land, it is. But when you get it in your opener, it can be ramp. It's amazing. I think I take Florahedron here over. We're pretty far off from green, actually. I mean, I took it, and I don't think there was much to worry about. I mean, I take another Sentinel here, but like. I'm going to listen a little bit and take, like, the Rabid Bite here. I suppose it's possible. Because we can still end up green, black, splash, Royal Eruption, and, like, Hellion. So, I think we have to listen to what's happening here and take green cards. Well, this says... maybe we play all that stuff, but I think I'd rather just have a Blight Blade if we're doing that, or a Sentinel that we would run in any... since we're playing black for sure, we can take Sentinel. We don't have one of these yet, though, so maybe we do. It's in here. Oh, we do. Yeah, I think I may have taken... I think I would have preferred Sentinel number 2 to Blight Blade number 2, but that's... if we get more Rabid Bites, this isn't the worst. I still like these better than... well, I think it's Media who doesn't like who's I'm pretty far off on with the Blight Blades, but... Green Wizard is nice, and I'll take that over the Warrior here. Yeah, green's wide open. We might just have to listen to that. I'm going to take Might, though. I really don't like the Nectar Pot at all. Bloodchief's Thirst leaps off the screen at me and says, get in my deck, and I'm going to say yes. Rabid Bite. Boy, is green so underdrafted this wheels? If so, cha-ching. Outside of that, there's not much here to wheel. I don't think we're going to wheel this. I don't care that we're going to wheel this. Maybe we wheel this and run it. That would be a good wheel. Yeah, red's looking unlikely, especially now with this. Although, you know, Thundering Rebuke, pretty great, but we just have to listen to the table. Green has been wide, right? Another ruin crab. We could have been very crabby here if we wanted, and there's a relic golem. It's going to make somebody at this table happy, I think. Nothing much here to make us happy. We can scale the heights if we want to lean into that a little bit, but I expect that to wheel. We just take a rebirth, you know. Yeah, rebirth probably the best there. Acquisitions expert helps with diversifying. Although we got a couple rogues here. You know, we are even in green black, like we have Deadly Alliance and that stuff. But colony, yes, also it's basically expert or colony, and I think we're unlikely to even splash red at this point. I think we're just going to be straight green black and see how it goes. Maybe the Royal Eruption somehow if we get the right splashing tools. Yeah, colony might wheel. I get it. I'm going to go with my gut, which is that the table is saying green is so open that we're going to get either more opportunities at colony or that one might even wheel. Veteran adventurer, solid here. Subtle strike is maybe better. We don't have much of a high end though, Jinx. I'm kind of liking adventurer for this deck, given the lack of a high end and given the fact that we have alliance, subtle strike, feed the swarm, and blood chief's thirst and rabid bite. Already, we have more of a party than you think, and also this does not need much of a party to be quite serviceable. Yeah, and on that front, Visionary looks good here. Survivor also good point. Jinx likes the Survivor. I like it 2. We're pretty good at 2, though, and we're pretty light at 4. So somewhat this is a curve decision, Jinx, and if we were heavy at 4 and light at 2, I'd be with you. You can get a Cleric here. Yeah, how tribal are we? Because, let's see, we have no clerics yet at all. It would be our first cleric. We'd have 2 wizards, 1 warrior. Yeah, you're right. We're not very party in the end. But so that means I'm going to take the ascetic over like the Colossus. Yeah, this is a fine playable. But like if we actually had great party stuff, we could have made an argument for the artifact. Roiling Regrowth here does let us consider a red splash. But Subtle Strike, maybe still more what we're doing. Like, I'm tempted to try and splash with this, but I don't think we need to. I mean, let's just be green-black, and I think we have good stuff here. Here's a Reclaim we can take, or a Vampire if we want to add to our tribal stuff. Yeah, that's the thing, Cheese. I don't know. Because it's one of the powers of green, so I get really excited about the potential there, but no, you're right. And look, a second Rabid Bite does suggest we're in the right place. We could just take a Horn Beetle, though. We got removal. We're somewhat doing the counter thing. This is weird. We do have good removal, so I'm going to take the Beetle and give that a try. And then scale the heights here over Zendikar or Blightblade. Zendikar, of course, can get us back one of our land spells, and we didn't get any the Stompers or whatever, but I still think Scale the Heights is where we want to be with this particular deck. And another Might. None of these are going to make the deck. A second Might is never, I don't think, and I'm not playing Adventure. Oh, well, we'll throw this on the board. And maybe, we're best of 3, right? So actually Broken Wings is a nice pickup. Hey, look at that, Jinx. How about both? What was the green I was hoping would wheel? Did we wheel the Rabid Bite? Yeah, we wheeled the Rabid Bite and the... Except we didn't even take the Rabid Bite because we wheeled something even better. Oh, not the Colony. That's what we thought might wheel. Thank you. I knew there. I was trying to remember what we thought might wheel, but we did not get that Colony back. That's too bad. Would have been a nice inclusion, but I think this deck is a good place. Let's pull over our splans and understand what we're looking at in terms of cuts here. I think we have enough removal. I don't think that this fills in enough of a weakness that we need to do it. I splash for incredible game-winning power, you know, like splashing a Nissa or splashing some mythic, or I splash for something our deck is missing, usually removal, sometimes even like there was one weird draft I had even on stream, and I think we did well with it, where I was like splashing for 2 copies of common 3/4 flyer for 4 and a white. And it was like, why would you splash that? Because our deck needed a couple of flyers, right? I mean, it was just like, sometimes that's the way it goes. Yeah, let's see. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20, 19 does sound good. I like 19 total sources with 4 or cutting one of these. And yeah, we can cut Highborn. Again, you know, the things that care about party are just Veteran Adventure and Deadly Alliance. And even if these get 1 cheaper each, we're happy. So we're not really a party deck, so it's not really important to keep a middling 4-drop in like that. Mucklord does do kind of the thing we're doing, but I actually agree that I would cut Mucklord before I'd even cut Scale. I'm going to do that. This is more of a 4 if we hope. I'm leaning towards keeping Scale because we're so low at 3. And it does do our thing, as Jinx said. I think Scale is fine here. It's not going to be wildly impressive, but it's playable. And then like it can be an easy cut for Broken Wings when we know we're going to bring in a Broken Wings. Oh, did I? Oh, yeah. Baloth absolutely belongs in. Shows that we're a little bloated at 4, especially if we're, you know, we even might get this out at 4, but call for meaning Broken Wings over the Scale. I'm going to play it my way. I don't know. Sounds like people really don't like Scale, but it's not offensive to me. It's fine. Like, I'd rather cut Might even than Scale. Because we're running a Beetle. Like, we're running a Horn Beetle. We're running a Skyclave Sentinel. Like, oh yeah, I can do that to call out. This is helpful to remember that we have that at 3. But I think this is better in our deck than most. I mean, this is the deck for it, gang. This is not a great card, and most decks don't want it at all. But we're somewhat of a +1/+1 counter deck. It's not a wildly important theme, but it's enough of one for me, especially with the Sentinel, that I'm going to do it. Yeah, I can move to deck building, sorry. It may just need to be cut because of the need to cut more stuff. We have 16 creatures, so it probably gets cut just on that strength, but I'm still fighting it because I do like it in this deck. Yeah. I'm with you, Jinx. Let's cut Might. Might is interaction, and we have plenty of interaction. Oh, I did. You're right. No, I counted that and then moved it back over. The Mammoth was part of our 4, and then I moved it back to remind myself that it was a 3. It hits for 2. That's pretty big. Like, I would rather cut a Blightblade than a Skulker. And I'm with Surion. We're better off at 16 creatures in this deck, cutting non-creatures. So I will relent and let go of the Scale. But I do like it in this deck. Fortunately, our deck is good enough that we don't have to play it. I mean, look at our removal suite. I think Blade always has Death Touch. You know what Skulker always has? 2 power. I like that. Anybody redeem Bling? Doesn't look like it. So no Bling redemptions, or I don't have them paused or anything. All right. We don't have 2x bite. We have 1x bite. Yeah, I'm not with you on that, Jinx. I like Visionary too much. I think Visionary's great. If I ignore the 2s, true? I mean, I get that a lot of our 2s are spells. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures I'm willing to play before turn 3. Oh, I see. Guaranteed 2-for-1 is never the right cut. What guaranteed 2-for-1 did I cut? Or maybe you're talking about a different one, and I didn't cut it. Anyway, looks like Avon is the winner. We're going to get some lands updated and name the deck. Help me name this deck. Deck box. Which one do you want, Germany? We can take a look in a second. Avon lands for Krause. And are we correct on kind? We have 9 black, 9 red, or 9 green. That sounds good. Oh, sorry. Yes, let's check sleeves. Well, you said box. I mean, the box art is just whatever card you want. Unless somebody redeems sleeves. Box is I drag a card to the box. And we'll call this... Jund. We bailed on Jund. We're counting on it. Subtle Visions. There's Nissa. Do you still draw if the creature dies that you target? If it's the only target, no. A spell fizzles if, upon resolution, it has no legal targets. I'm just going to say Subtle Visions. Just so we can get playing. Sometimes a brilliant name shows up. Sometimes you just throw something there so you can get to playing. It's a strike against it, Funky, but it doesn't make it unplayable. It makes it a low priority, for sure. But it's not unplayable. You just got to be very careful with it. Not amazing, but keepable with only 2 land. Pretty good, though. We got Sentinel with our Subtle Strike. Oh yeah, we can do a poll. This is a T-par. If I were to play this out 1,000,000 times, what would our average win count be? Match win count. Thank you for that sub, and thank you, Deck, for that land. Really wanted to see land number 3 here. I'm going to go Skulker now. Acquisitions Expert is not the right time. This is both more power, and we would rather wait for them to play a little more of their hand out before we force them to pick one of their remaining. Thunder Mean from Mama. I gotta find it. Mammoth, we have one of those. I think it would be pretty obvious if we went for the Subtle Strike play here. I'm just going to play Sentinel and try to have a Subtle Strike play next turn. You could have done a Feed the Swarm, but like if we draw a land next turn, we get like Feed the Swarm and Subtle Strike, which sets up for a lot of options depending on what they do. If we don't even see anything we want to feed, we can go Acquisition, Subtle Strike. So hoping for a land. Land opens up a lot of possibilities. This is hard, of course, taking this smack, but we can handle one. Oh, Cardboard Live is maybe needing a restart of its own. It might not be working given that... now it might, though. It was doing its thing where it was a little hiccupy there. Maybe it'll... I'll restart it, though. Hold on. That usually does the trick if it's not working. Okay, it's working. Sorry. I'm over-functioning. Well, we didn't find our land. That's too bad. That makes me want to just Feed the Swarm this and not mess around. Not much in black-green that can punish us for Feed the Swarm, right? So let's do that. Ouch, but... I mean, it doesn't punish us. It brings it back. I just didn't want it to not trade for something. When I say punished, what I usually mean is we get 0 for 1 or we get 2 for 1. That's what I mean by punished. That's not punished. That's trading card for card. We're cool with that. We are going to get slammed for another 5, though. And we don't have the ability to make this Death Touch. So I'm going to attack. We're not going to, like, chump it with it. So we have to take yet another smack, but we're not out of this. Yeah, next turn, if we don't draw a land, we're going to have to go for Death Touchy. Yeah, no land. So we're just not... I mean, we're...
Where are we going? To Neverland. 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 Oh, Neverland.
Oh yeah, we're experting. It's the only play. It's the only play. It gives us Death Touch. And a chump if we want it. And if they're out of lands, maybe we can even handle a Mammoth. I mean, decks don't necessarily have lands every turn all game long. Although it is kind of the torture of Zendikar that when your opponent has a good landfall creature out, you can't even, there's nothing to root for. Every draw is good for them. So this can be... So counters need to be put to even get it back. Neither of these trample. We're going to kill the one... This can come back. Yeah, Skelly might come back, but Mammoth might not be a 5/5 anymore. And... this is the one that we might be able to kill without a land drop next turn. So I'm going to do this. Oh wait, I have to chump though, of course. I almost hit block and just lost the game there. I mean, we're going to lose this game, but that'd be a silly way to lose it. So now we can, I can play the Survivor and put a counter on the Sentinel and then chump the Hellion and eat the Mammoth if Oppo is out of lands. So again, you know, just play into some outs here, trying to hang on. I like that what we're doing here. No, there isn't. No Neverland 2. So take heart. We're making a game of it stuck on 3 against a really nice set of cards from Oppo and great mana from them, so could be a lot worse. Yeah, that's one of the things that, Sheesh, I want to start looking at those numbers a bit with you all at some point. Because those are the numbers that inform rare drafting, really. So, let's see. I didn't know if there... Yeah. This is classic. You always get your land the turn it doesn't matter, right? We got nothing. We dead. But again, I'm going to take heart. That was well fought, given our resources, and Oppo's deck looks like it has some strong cards in it. I like all the cards I'm seeing here. I don't know if red is worth splashing, but maybe there's something else that we don't know about with their deck. Interestingly, we got a mirror match, almost down to the red splash, but we didn't do it. So what does that mean, though? They're doing counters, they're doing creatures. It's just a mirror. What's good in a mirror? Maybe another Blight Blade. This is where I could be talked into this rogue over Skulker Rogue, where always on Death Touch could be more important to us than 2 power. I think that makes sense here. I do stand by my main deck decision to way 2 power higher, but in this matchup, I think Death Touch is going to be good for us. In fact, maybe we include this too and just cut something else. Maybe it's something up here, Visionary, or one of the, like a Survivor even. Although Survivor is, you know, we saw it going on the Sentinel was pretty good. Yeah, I didn't see anything for Broken Wings, right? We don't expect flyers, and we didn't see. You want to bring Might in to win some combats? That's interesting. I'm going to say no on that, though. That doesn't feel quite correct to me. But it is interesting how much our cards match, huh? Yeah, I'm bringing in the Blight Blade, and I'm going to go ahead and cut a Survivor. Nah, Sentinel's good in this deck. We have so many ways to throw +1/+1 counters. I just cut one of them, but we have enough ways to throw +1/+1 counters around that I think the Sentinel is actively good. Yeah. Well, we can strike away a 1 toughness on 2, and we got both our mana, so I'm going to keep, but I would like, and I'm not asking for too much. What I would like to do is draw a 2-drop or a 3-drop by turn 3. So 2 shots at 2 icicles in 2 and 3 give us a lot of shots at action before turn 4. They have big creatures, yes, Phil, but they are not 100% big creatures. Much like us. All right, we bricked on finding a 2-drop for 2, but we still have 1 more drop to find a play for 3. I'll take anything our deck can come up with, and would love it if Oppo would play a nice, juicy target for this. I would run that out there for a 1-for-1 removal if the target is good. Oppo spinning wheels a little bit, and Skulker is a little bit late, but not disastrous in this case. Sometimes when a card shows up 1 turn after I could have cast it on curve, I go, you know, and I'm mad. And that's because when you have a nice curve out, missing a slot like that by 1 draw is actually pretty tough, because it means that as opposed to having a 2-drop out for the next 5 turns affecting your stuff. You're instead holding this 2-drop in hand, dumping out a bunch of stuff, and then it shows up on turn 7 when it's not as much of a factor. So missing those 2 drops on 2 is pretty devastating, but primarily devastating when you have something to do on 3. In this case, we didn't have anything to do on 3, so we're just... Skulker is late, but in this case, still gave us something to do. So thanks, Skulker. Yeah, they take Adventurer here, or Baloth. I don't know which one they want, but maybe Baloth, since we can cast it next turn. But this isn't the worst if our other big one survives. And hey, perfect draw. Just utterly perfect. 4-drop, draws us a card, and sets us up to curve into the Adventurer. Or, now with the Vanquish, we can next turn have Subtle Strike Vanquish. Yeah, I like sending in here. They know our Subtle Strike. Well, I guess they won't block because of that. I'm just going to attack in. They won't block. We'll play Adventure. They can hit us hard with the Baloth, but we crack back with a pretty hard crack in that case. So let's send in. I should have, I guess, yeah, it shouldn't matter. Subtle Strike is enough here either way. Yeah, G-Guard says it isn't great, but I still would do it. I don't think they'll take it. Okay, they're taking it. Yeah, I suppose it's fine because it's 2-for-1ing, but we get to put a counter on the Visionary. So this is like 1.5 for 1. They didn't quite 2-for-1 us. We didn't quite 2-for-1 ourselves. You know what I mean? Maybe not ideal. At least, but here we are. So I'm gonna do it. And this thing hits pretty hard, so I'm happy that and we did trade a 2 for a 4, so we got some nice tempo at least. And then this does set us up with a Vanquish they don't know about. You get what I mean? Like, a counter on the Visionary is worth not a full card, but some percentage of one. And getting this Baloth off the board at the cost of a Skulker is not bad when you have an Adventurer coming and a Vanquish behind, and your opponent has mulliganed. But would I do it again? Maybe I should have not done it because we could have played Adventure. I think that's the reason. Like, I don't mind making that trade, I don't think, or offering that, but I should have gotten Adventurer down first, and then I could have been willing to offer it the turn after. Can't beat that in combat, but we do get to dump our hand of creatures here. Yeah, great call. That's a good point. If I had played the Adventure, I could have offered it straight up. Yeah, that's definitely the punt then. Clearly that's the play. Ouch, but our sideboarded Blightblade doing something worthwhile. Well, Jinx says that was so bad for Oppo, but if they have literally nothing in hand to stop an Adventurer, dying is worse, right, Jinx? You want to send in Blightblade? I guess we can encourage them to attack back, right? Why not? Yeah, I'm in. They have 2 lands. They're gonna draw 5 more lands in a row and have to Blightblade block Hellion. Yeah, we do have a Zoth consumption. Heck, they are dead to Zoth consumption if they don't add to the board. Yeah, they get our vanquish, but they hurt themselves. Got it back, though. Just a little unusual to put this on a swamp, maybe, but maybe that's just what they had at the time. I know they hurt me too, yeah. But I thought they yeah, they hurt themselves with the land. That's what I meant. All right. Well, I like ours better. I'm still just offering this. I should have sent it first, but it doesn't matter. They can take either one. I'll take Point, I'll take Sentinel, I'll take Hellion. Your choice. Will it live? What's being cast here? I'm nervous. Probably Graveyard, so they're gonna... Oh, Recovery. All right. Well, that's gonna take 3 of their health, right? Wow. And back to this direction. Oh, here comes the flood. Auto Tapper, it's the only black source they have. It hasn't been auto tap, it's just been literally the only thing they can do to cast these spells. Interesting attack. Come on. How about... I play around top deck removal all the time. How about we punish Oppo for once? Does that count? Yeah, that counts. It's not removal, but it counts as a top deck. Just gotta make sure I do this correctly. All right. Let's maybe they scoop. You put a untapped target land you control. You have it become a 3/3 element menace. It's still a land. Okay, so it doesn't matter which. I just was making sure that like it gets haste or whatever. This has menace, so I'm not even going to attack with a visionary because if for some reason I'm missing what they're going to do for 1 mana, I don't want to lose my visionary into the big boy. Changing anything from that? Let's take a look. Maybe, I mean, this is an unusual deck. They have not really, like, normally a deck like this, like ours, has some small stuff that leads into big stuff. We're not really seeing any small stuff here. So I'm with Phil now. I wasn't ready to make that move during first sideboarding because we'd only seen 1 game's worth of stuff, and my presumption was there'd be stuff to get. But there's not really stuff to get as far as I can tell, so I am going to cut a Subtle Strike. And we could bring back a Dauntless Survivor, maybe a Might to win some of the ground battles that are happening. Let's just do that. Vanquish had some targets, but you're right. Vanquish I'm willing to keep. We got Sentinel with that. Gosh, maybe Vanquish is even not good enough with the targets they're showing, but I just can't believe that there's some deck that has so few targets for Vanquish that we cut it. Yeah, Vanquish at least gets the Mammoth. That's a good call. I think I'm going to do it this way. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Glad you're here. Easy keep. And I think we just go ahead and play the Rebirth tapped here, though. I was going to say, I want 4 mana on 4 just to be able to potentially 2 spell, but now it's even more important to be able to have 4 on 4. Yeah, right now we're looking at Survivor on 2 into Expert on 3, which is decent with snagging 2 cards at that point. That's what I mean. There's usually something like this. Well, now we are going to vanquish that on turn 3 almost no matter what. But we start with Survivor here. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Nice open from Oppo. Now we have a question, I suppose. I mean, we didn't see that much kicker. Do we even care about the Vine Gecko? I kind of panicked about the Gecko because it's such an overall powerful card, but maybe we actually just want to vanquish the Mammoth, right? But yeah, I like the attack. If we can use the Might instead, we want that. So let's send in an attack. Just reclaim. I'm not sure what you mean, Funky. I'm going to get the Mammoth. It's going to hit too hard. And we actually didn't see too much Gecko abuse. Oh, I see what you're saying. Thank you. Yes. Funky going through trying to figure out what stuff might be made cheaper by the Gecko. And the only thing we really saw was the reclaim that Funky is talking about. And there it is. But... yeah, Sentinel. Sentinel we saw. This is CMC. Okay, so we'll just use Blood Chiefs to kill it, but not now. We'll take a turn for Visionary and then know that we can kill it for 1 mana later. It's nice in this case when it's like CMC based, because then even if the Gecko gets another counter and smacks us around a little more, we can still kill it for 1 mana. That's nice. Yeah, now Expert's going to be quite good, right? Boy, we draw a... if we draw a Forest, we can go Mammoth Expert next turn. That would be awesome. And if not, we still get Expert Thirst. So next turn should be good. Yeah, let's start with Expert, make him decide, and then because they might have the save your creature, this one. They might have this in hand and get him to discard it and then kill the Gecko. So let's do that. Oh, thanks. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Some say I never heard of ya. Don't believe
I'll give you a refund hat.
Don't believe the hype.
On the house. All right, let's get rid of this. And then, we could just Alliance it. And then Blood Chief's Thirst. Well, these both take care of everything. Let's go ahead and Thirst this for, well, we can attack. We got Might. So let's attack and then see. They've got a couple spells they like, so this might not go well for us, but yeah, G-Guards is probably right. I'm being a little foolish to send a not trade in here, because now I'm setting myself up for a 2-for-1, to the point that it's probably correct to just Deadly Alliance the Vine Gecko. I'm going to pivot, use a card I didn't want to use yet, but it's mitigating a mistake I just made. So I'm going to mitigate the mistake of attacking with the Survivor by going for the Deadly Alliance here. It looks clunky and wrong, and Oppo will be like, why didn't you use that before you attacked? Then it's just because I'm mitigating a mistake. This isn't ideal, but we're going to try and fix it. I agree with G-Guards that it's too risky to try and might into all this open mana and into 2 cards that they kept. I'm going to be greedy, though. We could play this. Well, we could play this, and then we get a Horn Beetle next turn. But I think we should be greedy. We got a nice board lead here. And they didn't spend their mana, so that's good. And we have something to use our Thirst on, so that's good. That's funny. Someone's saying, well, I would only make this red splash for this. D, that's exactly what I acknowledged, buddy. Exactly what I acknowledged, right? Rabid Bite is nice. Still going to be greedy on Mammoth. We can play Horn Beetle here after combat if we don't need Marasa. Well, they may be deciding that using these to save 3 per on the Visionary is better than 1 and 2 per. At some point, they might need to block these 2 and let the Expert go, but I understand what they're up to. Like, blocking the Visionary is the most valuable thing they can do with the tokens, so they want to do that as much as they can. Yeah, Vastwood Surge could also explain why they would hope to keep them all around. Might of theirs into Might of ours. So, do we trade Might for Might? Yeah, we should, because this is actually being a pretty good attacker for us. So we'll... Oh, we can't... can we trade back? No, we can trade. We can make it a... We can lose the Visionary and trade this, but this is shrinking down anyway, so it doesn't matter. We're just going to let that happen. Yeah, I can't kick it because of the lack of green again. But we get a Horn Beetle here, and they use... This is not going to stay that way, so we're still okay. We didn't trade for no one, Benjamin. We traded for a Might of Marasa. Think of it that way. And we did it with a card that already drew a card. Zoff is maybe a reason to just play this. We can Rabid Bite away the Baloth, get in maybe for some damage, and then Zoff is going to be looking good after that. Bite, swing, land, Zoff is the plan. Let's see how much damage they give us here. What do you know? They gave us Zoff consumption damage, so we're going to go for a Zoff win next turn. Yeah, they could have Mind Drain, but what do you want to do? Not play this? I mean, if this were a basic land, I'd be with you, because then we could hold it and ditch it if we needed to and play it if we didn't. But we had to take a chance there, I think. And even if they Mind Drain, then we're still attacking with these. Ah! Sorry. That was a misclick, of course. That's all right. We're going to get him anyway. We got the Might. Don't worry. We had multiple ways to win. Yeah, at least that one was not a game-costing UI error. And as always, I don't really care about UI errors. I care about when I don't see lines. You know, those are the ones where I'm like, that's the thing I could correct that affects my magic win percentage. pretty clear Oppo did not have removal. I mean, I guess if they had drawn instant speed removal there that turn, it would have been possible. All right. Was going to happily run out Survivor, but Gloomhunter's better here. We can put a counter on it next turn and then have Subtle Strike to put another counter on it. Turn this into a 3/3 nice and early. Regarding putting a warning to help avoid the punt I just did, or the UI misclick, depending on how you want to define punts. But you'd have to be very smart about it. I mean, how would you feel that if you had no lands in play, and on turn 1, you go to play one of your splans as a land, and it asks you to confirm? You're going to be I think you're going to be annoyed at that. That would just be, ugh. No, thank you. So, one observation here. I'm excited about getting counters onto the Ghastly Gloomhunter, of course, but this is an engine card for the Cleric deck, although it's a little weird here in red-white. I'm not sure what Cleric is doing in red-white, but we could make a case for land, attack with Gloomhunter, hold up Vanquish, either Vanquish the Celebrant or whatever they play next, untap and have Survivor plus Subtle Strike. So, yeah, well, that's what we could do too. So, but one question is, but do I do the Survivor here? I'm going to hold Vanquish. They're about to hit 4 mana. We could get something quite sweet with the Vanquish, and I may be willing to do the Celebrant here, depending on what they show us. Yeah, so, unfortunately, this is going to go on the stack. Maybe with Feed, I actually am going to Vanquish the Celebrant, untap, and we'll go Survivor, Counter, Feed, Healer. I like that. This gives them no tokens at all for their healer. This hurts us a bit. We got a Gloomhunter. Ooh, you better put some toughness on that right now. Mammoth is a nice draw too, but I'm not going to take this shields down moment for granted. We're going to do it. We could play the Mammoth as land to play the Ascetic, but we're going to be greedy. We got another Subtle. If we play Nissa, of course, we can animate a land and attack with it. But I'm going to hold on Nissa for now till we're a little better protected, and I'm going to offer the Survivor. If they block, we get Subtle Strike shenanigans. If not, we play Mammoth. Hat likes sending Nissa out. I like Nissa next turn after the Mammoth play, or even potentially the turn after Ascetic Mammoth. Almost did it, but no, we're going to do here. Wow, another subtle strike. Not so subtle strike. If they play there and attack, I'm snap blocking with Mammoth. Oh yeah. They think that this is a big important card for us, and sure, I'd like to draw land and attack for 5, but we are going to wreck them. This is just going to be painful for Oppo. Unless they have a... They could have... If their final spell wins this combat, they have a chance. Surion says we can race. I get it, but I just don't feel we lose with these 3 cards to whatever this is if we take this trade and then kill this thing. Rebirth, I'm willing to play as a land to set up the Nissa and the Ascetic. But I think I'm going to give him a turn to also try to go ahead and equip this blade to the sellsword. Yeah, that's true. I don't need to do it now. Let's start with an attack. But if we play Nissa, we might want to attack with land, right? But yeah, if we do that, G-Guards wants to maybe use this to get back, but I think we want this as land. That's another option. The one reason to not strike first and get in is that it means it's all we do this turn. Whereas we can save the strike for next turn, and if they don't add toughness to the sellsword, we still get it. If they put the equip on the sellsword, we crush them. I'm going to let this hourglass go. But the reason not to is that it uses all of our mana. It uses only some of our mana on a turn where we could use all of it pretty effectively. So, yeah, I'm going to do it that way.
I must contain the blight that dwells within.
I mean, we can even minus this now if there was something if we just wanted to steal something. But I like upping here and continuing to attack. We'll send a swamp.
Cower before the elements.
And I could leave a survivor back to threaten a block, but Nissa survives a sellsword hit, which is fine. So I'm actually going to attack because they need more than just this plus this to take out Nissa. Oh, really? I thought it was both. On the ballot, creature card from your hand or graveyard. Got it. You're right. So we would be putting Mammoth or Hunter out, which is just... So anyway, and if they even manage to take out Nissa here and spend their whole turn on that, I think we'll be quite happy.
I must brace myself.
Yeah, we could have played Ascetic as a huge dealio. But I'm going to go like this, like this, and... Well, I'm going to do the subtle strike. I think if we kill that thing, we're in a pretty great place. This feels hard for them to beat. Yeah, pretty good, but I mean, we just win. Yeah, the Menace is a big game, huh? All right, nice. We do have a big artifact here. Looks like and we have an artifact here. They're in white, so we can expect some enchantment-based removal. I think we're definitely bringing in our catch-all green thing. I don't see any flying, but also we can expect some flying in white. And So that's Broken Wings. For what? That's the hard part here. A Subtle Strike. Subtle Strike was amazing against them. We can't cut Subtle Strikes. A Feed. Feed seems amazing against them. I don't know. I like all of our cards against them. That's the problem here. A Visionary. Baloth. Maybe Blight Blade is not at its best here. Because we're dealing mostly in small stuff. Yeah, Baloth is pretty clunky, not really what we care about. Yeah, let's cut. I'm cutting Baloth. The sometimes large attacker versus a life. Yeah, I like cutting Baloth. I think it's correct. Yeah, if Blight Blade gets anything, you're pretty happy about it. But it's at its worst against small stuff. Rebirth lets us keep this. I'll run out Expert on 2 if there's nothing else to do. Obviously, we'd like something else to do, but Expert on 2, Visionary on 4, Hornbeetle on 5 is not an awful start, and obviously the top of our library could make it a lot better. Oops, I meant to do this. I was reading chat. Cut Nissa on the draw. Maybe that's too cute. Sounds too cute to me. I think Nissa's going to be fine in any deck that can cast her. Especially willing to play Acquisitions Expert when it can technically block and trade with a Blade Master. Yeah, a Stomper would be good in this deck, but we didn't end up with one. Never really had a chance. I'm sure there's probably a Stomper in a pack here or there, but never even came up on our radar of stuff we were considering. Good work, Expert. Taking out a piece of removal, not bad. I mean, clunky, expensive removal, but that's removal. Good work, Expert. I'm snap blocking the Blade Master, even if it means there's a trick or whatever. Well, now I'm not snap blocking the Blade Master. And now we really need some help. This is why the Blade Master is good. We could block it and chump to save life. Do we need to save 6? We need 4 toughness before we can even leave something behind to threaten to kill the Blade Master on regular damage. And the thing that gets left behind has to have 2 power, which the Expert doesn't. It means the Expert's probably not going to be part of any Blade Master killing efforts anytime soon. And it's a ton of damage. But yeah, I suppose we may get if we don't get an answer off the top, we're pretty dead to this thing anyway. So let's, and it's true, if we wait, we can get ourselves in a spot where the Expert could potentially make the trade. So let's go ahead and say no blocks here. Because we have several outs to answers. And there's one of them. Hooray us for not taking away our chance at this play. I'm not actually counting on this working, by the way, gang. We out of necessity, are going to go for this Subtle Strike play in the middle of combat against an opponent with at least 4 cards and 3 mana. Although doing this is great. Now they've just given it to us if they want. Now, are they going to play KG? They know we have a bunch of Subtle Strikes. They saw both. All right. We got to take the chance. They're cha-chaing. All right, they don't want to do it. We're going to untap. That's fine. If they want to keep giving us a chance, we're happy about that. Visionary. We have to keep Subtle Strike up, though. I don't think we can, play Visionary here, but we can play Survivor. And I put Survivor counter on Expert. So now they're doing it with a bunch of open mana, which is, of course, much more nerve-wracking. We could just try to take out the Expedition Champ, but of course, we just need to take out the Blade Master. So, again, not comfortable about this. I don't think this is going to work, but I think we have to try. I wonder, let's see, so does playing Survivor do anything? They didn't show us any tricks that I remember in the first game. But if we add on the Survivor, what do we play around in that case? Because we're going to make a 2-1 out of the Blade Master, a 3-4 out of the Expert. I think we just do it like this and hope that our Subtle Strike is good. One of the reasons I don't think this is going to work is they played around Subtle Strike last turn. So my feeling is they must have the tools in hand to win this. I think we need to try and kill this Blade Master. If we don't kill the Blade Master, we're going to lose this game. So we're taking a high risk chance at doing so right now. And if it fails, we know that we took a calculated risk on purpose because the need to kill this thing was so high. This gets -1, and I'm gonna. Yeah, I guess they trade no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter if this is a 3-4 or a 2-3. It still trades with a 2-1 Blade Master, so I'm going to put the counter on the Survivor. Then at least we get something out of it if this goes poorly. All right, we did what we had to, and where are we at now? We could bring back an acquisitions expert with Nissa land plus acquisition. We could also just cast a veteran adventurer, which can straight up trade with a Blade Master if they are out of stuff. Let's just do that, right? I mean, it's a solid trade. I mean, Hornbeetle does it as well. If we thought this was less... Yeah, I mean, we should do Hornbeetle. Adventure, if this trades, we'd rather trade this than this, and they both trade. And do we attack Survivor? They're at 20. We might be dead to removal, so I'll keep back the Survivor in case we need it to literally survive. When I hear the dog go nuts like that, that's when I expect to hear, like, within the next 10 minutes, the boodaloo noise of an Amazon alert that my package arrived. I try to shop locally and not just do Amazon all the time or whatever, but also it's nice to just get a bunch of random stuff our family needs all taken care of at once. Okay, interesting play from Oppo. They are looking to, force us into a chump instead of keeping it on the Blade Master where we can trade with it, and it works. We have to chump. Getting gloomy in here for sure, and actually chumping is taking us off of Adventurer. But we can go Visionary and then maybe cast a Gloom Hunter after. I don't think Nissa does anything here. And this may be, someone was, I forget who was saying they took Nissa out on the draw or something like that. I don't know. I don't think it's right to take it out, but this situation is showing why they would, right? Nissa untap a land to Gloom Hunter for 1. Nissa land revive with Beetle out is, yeah, that's pretty good. It gives us some chumps. But I already played the land, so I'm going to go with the Visionary. Maybe, because my plan was Visionary, find land, play Gloom Hunter, but now maybe we want to hold. Are we I think actually, yeah, the Nissa play next turn is good enough that I'm going to hold the land for that. Rob says lucky, lucky. I'm not even following through on it. I think we do need to get lucky, but not with the land on top with the next couple of turn sequences here. Really, I think we need to get lucky in game 3. This is very tough to win without us finding the tools to remove Blade Master. Now this is interesting because it does give us a Horn Beetle trade. So, I mean, they get the War Collar as well, but we have no choices anymore. We got to take the trades. Should have at least left up the option. The option of what, Rob? Well, it's right here. Now we can go Nissa, land,
Must take drastic action.
yeah, we're gonna get lots of chumps this round. That's the idea. And how is this as a 7? As a 7, it actually eats a Blade Master with a Relic Axe, so I'm actually going to make a 7 here. And then we have a chump. We have endless chumps here. Six, 7, but 7 because it survives the double 3. Of course, they can move the Blade to the champ, and then this thing becomes absurd. So you saying there's a chance. By the way, I haven't even seen that movie. Never seen it, but I know to say that. Yeah, Gloomhunter is going to add more beetles, and then we start clocking in the air. Rabid Bite, my friend. Do we just bite the Blade Master now and just get it done, or do we Gloomhunter now?
Your friend here is only mostly dead.
I was on Gloomy. I think Trample is my worry. There's some Trample world where this is bad, but I don't think we're there. So, or we got to try. Surion wants to kill the Blade. Tron wants to kill the Blade. Trample is the worry. We certainly have chumps for days now. I didn't like offering any kind of trade for the 6-7. I think we just need that on D. Our plan is to win with Gloomhunter in the air and leave everything else on the ground to wrestle on the ground. I mean, we could... Yeah, we're just going to do this. Subtle Strike is going to be nice. We're going to start with a Rabid Bite. They do have mana open. Maybe I should attack first in case they got something that we can draw out with the Gloomhunter attack. Nothing about attacking with Gloomhunter needs to have pre-bitten anything here that I see. There's a pause, though. Do they have actions that explain this pause? No actions explaining the pause, so... Not sure what they're up to, but this is why I want to do this first. Let's see what they got for the Gloomy. All right. Well, if we bit the War Leader, it would be because we would hope to eventually strike the Blade Master. But that would require them moving the sword, moving this off the Blade Master, which is possible. You know, that could be correct. But I'm kind of, yeah, I think we really need this dead in a way that we don't need the war leader dead. So I'm not going to get fancy about it. That's true, Benjamin. But I don't think that's going to necessarily keep going on this way. All right, it was shelter. That's understandable, but again, we're still in a decent spot here. We knew they had something. It was that. Still a trade, and I still like our position. Certainly a lot more than I did a couple minutes ago. They might get desperate and start sending in quite a few things. Yeah. What do you mean, Alcardio? Are you're down on Rabid Bite because you think it does that stuff too much? Well, I don't think we're eating anything. I don't trust this attack at all. They showed us +2/+2 to team last game. I'm kind of expecting that. Like, what do we do in that case? If it's +2/+2 to team, I think we want Horn Beetle on Squad Commander. We want a chump here. We want a chump here. Oh, Stampede is sorcery. Good. No, but there's an instant one. There is an instant speed one. The land card is a sorcery, but the +2/+1 is instant. Yeah, it could be Unity too. Anyway, I'm doing this. I think we live at least. They could have multiples. I really like Beetle on Squad Commander because it means that Beetle eats in the face of +2/+1. Spell. What's the damage? 3? And so I'll use Subtle Strike, and then it takes... I gotta do this. No fair! Oh, wait, it's still good for us. Never mind. That was weird. I had no hourglasses, and it actually saved me. Shame Scoop? Don't shame Scoop, Oppo. You still had a chance. Oh, they flung the Lord and miscounted. Okay, well... I was flailing around with low clock, and Oppo was miscounting. So some really high-end magic there for y'all. The only shame in a shame scoop is that you scooped instead of trying to win anyway. All right, we made it to 2. Oh, nice. We got our 1,000 gems. Remember, this one's on the house. We played for gold today. So all the gems we get are sweet, sweet house gems. Nice. I love this. This is where I love this card. We get to play it on 2 and ramp to a Visionary. Awesome. And we're on the play, so maybe a Gloom Hunter on 5 if we find a Swamp. Final boss is white-green. As I say, the only card I like in white-green is the Root Grazer in terms of gold stuff, and there it is. We can vanquish that, though. Do we do it now? How important is it to vanquish the weak? I say pretty important. They get to ramp with this. You know, let's get it dead. Let's get it dead. Visionary, hold off a turn. You take it? No, I'm not letting them have a turn with this thing. Oh, take the Root Grazer. I see. I thought you meant take it, like take Root Grazer's next attack. All right, we got our second swap. We'll play Visionary here, though, and then get Gloomy next turn. Awesome. And then if another land, Sentinel after that. Kind of coming up Millhouse here with the Florahedron. Take that, Luis. Yeah, this is quite a pile here. I say pile only because of the 4 colors. This opponent is 2-0, so they're doing something right or getting lucky, I guess. But I'm assuming they got a power. They must have some powerful cards. If they're playing like this stuff in all these colors, it's because they're splashing great stuff, right? Yeah, we're clearly 5-color good stuff here, which is a real deck, so that's okay. Let's just beat it. Oh, that was wrong. I thought I was playing the Gloom Hunter there. That was a UI click again. Stream and punt classically. I think I will do the Survivor then and throw it on the Visionary. Get some extra damage in. Not the worst, not the worst. Not what we wanted, but not the worst. If we'd been stuck with, like, no other plays, that would have been really sad. Oppo on 5 colors. Check it. Subtle. Really wanted a subtle strike there. We will trade any of our creatures except our Florahedron for the Sky Dancer. So we're going to send in everything but Florahedron. Yeah, you're probably right, but I want to cast Sentinel here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to cast the right thing this time. And yeah, Lifelinker nice, but 4 power better in our situation. Well, you got 6 mana, 5 colors, 5 cards, Oppo. What you got? And you got a Hagra Constrictor? Come on, what's going on, Oppo? What is this? What is going on? Now we're into the place where I'm like, what is going on? This does not look like a 2-0 deck. It might not be. You don't always get exactly paired with your record. I'm going to do no-look swing here, though. If Constrictor wants to eat something, that's fine. Yeah, 5-color bad stuff so far. 5-color, why are you running this stuff? And how about this deck getting Root Grazer on 2? Maybe they're green, white, 5-color good stuff. We don't know they're 2-0. We just know they're paired against us. One, two, three, four, five, 6. They cannot cast the 8-mana Wrath, and so I'm gonna play Gloom Hunter. Rob says hold. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we don't play anything because, like, I don't know. I don't know how they beat this. You say cast nothing. Well, look. Them knowing we have a Gloom Hunter doesn't matter. Can we agree on that? Who thinks it really matters if they know that we have a Gloom Hunter or not? It really doesn't matter. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's some sequence of plays that prevents us from winning next turn. And I can't come up with the sequence that saves them. But oh, yeah, that's interesting. Media says play the Baloth if we're going to add to the board because it plays around the 5-mana sweeper. And literally everything else dies to it except the Visionary. And the Visionary is not enough to kill. So I think Media is correct. But the point is, I'm not going to not play stuff. I would only not play stuff if I came up with a 7-mana sweeper that I knew they could have. The white rare is 8. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Like if they were at 7, they could draw the 8th mana and sweep. So at that point, I would save for the leftovers. Into a Colossus. This deck seems like a mess. I do not know what Oppo is up to. I mean, this looks like if you randomly picked your first 7 cards. And Fishy, if you end up here, I'm not trying to be mean. I really don't understand what you're doing, though. Like, of course, it might be explained by the rest of your deck. Maybe you got disconnected and this is like auto draft. I don't know, but this is a very creative pile. I just don't see any power yet. You know, I see deck size. I can't quite tell from here. Oh yeah, it does look like the deck is over 40. So this is like a newer player doing some weird stuff, I think. So maybe we just run it back. I mean, I don't even like. All I want to do is be more aggro against stuff like this. So like maybe I bring in. Even like a vampire over an ascetic, you know, just something that's more lower down. Kind of like that. It could be. This could be 0/0. Broken Wings. Colossus is not enough, and I didn't see anything else. I guess there's a Sky Dancer, but I don't like it. I just want to be proactive against someone. Against 5-color bad stuff, you want to be aggressively proactive, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Let's do this. Yeah, Harmonize. Maybe the Death Toucher isn't good enough. We could cut the Death Toucher for that the ascetic if we need it again. Trying to match Oppo's strategy, Benjamin. Yeah, get on their level. Seems like a newer player. So, yeah, I don't want to be mean to new players or sound mean or come off as mean or that I'm being derisive towards someone not as good as us. But we're getting a lot of signs from this deck that we may be up against a 0/0 opponent as opposed to a 2-0 opponent. Because the deck doesn't look good and it's large. Yeah, Fool. Like, it could be that much, right? Like, that they are even not realizing that they cut to 40 or something. That you play all your cards? I don't know. Right. Could be a lot of things, but if Fishy is a new player and making some mistakes here, I wish we could get him on our stream and help him out. I bet we could mold Fishy into a magic machine. Yeah, I don't know what's up with them right now, but... And they may have been pretty disheartened by that. Yeah, this like I'm afraid that like this is their first arena draft or something, and now they're done with this nonsense or something. Come on, fishy. Come find us. Fi shy. Well, what an anticlimactic way to try to find 3 wins, but I mean, it seems like they've gone away. Oppo going first, 2 mana, each color, kill something small, have stuff to get to. We're going to keep, but we do need land. Surion, we don't know. I mean, it's hard to I even say things like 2-0 bracket, 1-0 bracket, that kind of thing, but it's pretty clear. Like, brackets are very strict. If you're in the 2-0 bracket, it means you are 2-0. So, like, we could say we are in the 2-0 bracket, I suppose, because we are, but we're not necessarily paired against somebody in the 2-0 bracket. All right, looks like this is a free 3rd win. This is the weirdest 3-0 completion I've ever had. You want to see deck size? 49. Rob, yes. Okay, let's talk match. We got some AMA to do anyway. I'll do a quick AMA on matchmaking here. After we... Yeah, they might have connection issues. I think we were going to win, honestly. I mean, I guess we could have never drawn a 3rd land there and lost, but it seems like we were pretty likely to win against that deck and that player. And I'm going to hop to the soapbox, though. And before I say goodbye to YouTube, I just want to speak to what Rob was asking about, who said, isn't best of 3 matchmaking based on record? The better way to say it is, it uses record in matchmaking and it does not use rank. I think that's a true statement. But uses record does not mean matches you on record every time. It means they try. It means that it looks for perfect matches, and then as they fail to find someone who has your record, they expand the search, because at the end of the day, while we want good matchups, we want to feel like we're against someone, especially if you're like 0-1. You don't want to play someone 1-0 or even 0-0. You want to play someone 0-1, right? The reason they don't show you the record of your opponent is because that's not always the case. Because as much as Wizards would like to pair you against someone with an identical record every single time you play, it's more important that Wizards pairs you up before you get frustrated with how long it's taken. So matchmaking systems design in video games is about striking that balance between fast pairing, but fair pairing. You find your balance and do the best you can. And that's going to lead to places where, like this one, where I really don't think that deck was 2-0. We were 2-0, and they unfortunately got paired against us. And that's because they didn't want us to sit around, us waiting for someone 2-0, them waiting for something, whatever their record was. And instead of both of us sitting around waiting, the matchmaking algorithm finally said, you know what, let's just pair them and get them going here. And ultimately, that's correct. People are more upset by long wait times in queues because it's something tangible that they're experiencing, that they can feel, they can talk about it. It's happening to me right now. Whereas I can't even say for sure. We don't know. Maybe our opponent did have a 2-0 record. Maybe they ran into 2 opponents who just never draw their 3rd land, and that 5-color pile got there twice. We don't know. Whereas we do know that we waited 5 minutes to play Magic, right? So you kind of lean towards the one that the players don't really know about, as opposed to the ones they know for sure about. So I wanted to call that out. And then now I'll say, woohoo, we did it. Let's get our profit celebration. Let's claim this prize. Ooh, 4. I think we're 1 short of opening. Yep, 9. But I'll hop back to Soapbox. I will thank our YouTube friends for hanging out for that one. I've been on an uptick. Started out pretty rough in this format, but I've been on a hot tear lately, so I think I've regressed to the mean, and I'm a little closer to my usual win percentages around here. And that feels good. And weird way to end it, but we'll take our 3-0 and live to fight another day. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, YouTube friends. Remember that you can throw me a like, and it helps a lot with the algorithm stuff. Take care.